All right, welcome to chapter 3 activity, which is character art, where we're going to make a picture and we're going to use all these print statements to get a bunch of print statements to get a picture like this, or your own picture. And the input function, which is going to get someone using your program, the output down here. I'll show you what that is later and how to get that. So the person seeing the output is going to get to interact. And then this string.format function, which is a little crazy, but I'll walk you through how to do that. So let's go to the activity requirements. Start your code with a comment at the top showing your name. So that's the hashtag that's above the 3. Then you put your name. That's requirement 1, but for good practice, I'm going to put another comment that coders typically put in their codes for people who are reading their code. They put in a description of what their code is intended to do. So my code is intended to prints out a picture with the artist's name. There we go. And so when the computer goes through line by line, it sees these comments and it goes, I don't need to do anything with those. I'm just gonna move on. I know that these comments are not for me. Thus, requirement number 1. At the beginning of your program, ask for the artist name using the input function and store the results in a variable called artist. So if we're defining a variable, what we have to do first, we don't have to worry about what we're putting in the variable right now, but we have to define the variable and okay, the variable name is artist. And so Python gets to this line and it goes artist. Okay, what's going on with artist? Oh, it's going to equal something. So we're going to take some data, which is going to be over here. We're going to store that into artist. And then we'll use artist later. So every time we see the word artist, as long as it's not in quotations, we'll replace artist with whatever data is over here. And this is where this input function comes in. So yeah, you could put in, you can put in a name like this, and then this name will be stored in artist. But what the intention here is that we're going to ask the user to give their name. So artist, and that's where this input function comes in. So input, we're telling the computer, please ask the user for some information. And well, if you just run this, well, you can type in stuff now, but then a user who's using your program isn't going to know what to do, right? They don't know what to write in. So we can actually put in a statement that's going to be printed to the screen for the user to know what it is that they need to do. So what is your name, for example? I'll put a space there as well. So let's see this happen. Run. There we go. What is your name? Oh, now I know what to type. Okay, my name is Daniel Levinson. Let's type that in correctly. Cool. And then we press enter, and well, here now the program's done, but there's going to be more. And let's see what happens here. So we put in the name, and let's say we print out artist. So let's run it. I'm just going to do Levinson this time. And there we go. It's printed to the screen. So just this line right here, line 4 of my code, is requirement number 2. We have a variable that we are storing the user's name in. Okay, so that name that the user puts is going to be stored in here, and then whatever we need to do with that name, we'll just put in artist, and then the computer will do the rest. Okay, now use multiple print functions to display most of your creative artwork. Okay, so I'm not going to do that in front of you because that would take ages. Here is what I have. There we go. See, it's got the what is your name? And then at this point, for now, I've put in the entire creative work, got the frame. We have the unflattering, creepy face. And just as a tip for you making your own stuff, to get these vertical bars, do shift, and then there's a button probably above your enter key or right near your enter key where you can get these long bars. And if you want, you have these are backslashes, which are probably next to your shift key, and forward slashes, which should also be above the enter key or near the enter key with that long bar. So you can use any of those, or you can make your own stuff, or you can copy this, or whatever you want to do. So that's requirement 3, making this picture. The other thing, though, is try to make sure the number of characters, whether it be bars or lines or letters or spaces, make sure each line adds up to the same number of characters. So I have 22. So if I start at this right after the quotations and I count how many times it takes me to get over to the other quotation, that number, I have 22 characters. So each line for me should be 22 characters, including the bars. In other words, between the 2 bars, I have 20 characters. So just keep that in mind. That's going to come in handy. And it's also going to make a neater picture. It's all lined up like this. So that's number 3. Number 4, this is where we get that string.format function. And this is the last requirement. If you get through this, you can do just about anything. So I'm going to do another print statement here. And usually you would print a string like this, but I want to do some formatting, some of my own stuff here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to print, and I'm going to put in a string.format function. And then in here you can do your own, whatever you typically would type. But what we're going to do is we're going to put in those 2 bars. And you don't have to do this if you're doing other work, but here I have bars. So I want to have bars on both sides, and in the middle, I want to put something in between those 2 bars. And the way to get that is to put in these curly brackets, which is above they're above the square brackets. And in there, and what's going to happen, we will put more stuff in there, but we're going to, on the outside, say, oh, I want to put this thing, in this case, the artist's name, into these curly brackets. So that's what the computer is going to do. It's involved, but you get used to stuff like this. So we got the string.format. I want to have this string, but in these curly brackets, I actually want to put this thing. And you can even put in a string like that. What have I done? What have I done? How do I get rid of this? Let's try this again. There we go. Go away. Okay. I'm messing up here. So anyway, so yeah, we're going to put in the artist name. In here, a couple things to put. We want the artist name to be put in from the 0th term all the way up to the well, I have 20 characters. So what's going on here? Python reads this a little bit differently. So the first character, like this one right here where I have it highlighted now, that's character number 0. So it starts counting at 0. And then it goes up to, so this is number 19. This is the one right before right before the bar. This is excuse me. This is number 19. It actually stops counting at 20. Again, something to get used to. It's a little strange, but that's how it works. So let's just see how this is right now. Let's run the code. This is the bulk of it, and then there's like tiny little tweaks that we'll see. So my name is Daniel Levinson, and now it's going to print this whole picture. Once I press enter, it's going to print this whole picture, and it's going to put my name in there. So let's see. Look at that. So it printed the picture, as you can see, and it put in my name right in between those bars. Now that's the most complicated part of this. But let's try this again and tweak this a little bit. So let's say I want this centered. Okay, and that's that's what you see here in the examples. Very simple, put the caret symbol. That is above the 6, so shift 6. Then you get that. And then we click, let's do it again. Look at that. Now Daniel Daniel Levinson is centered. The last thing, let's say I put in a really, really, really long name. I say Daniel Levinson of East Windsor, because that's where I'm from. And I press enter. Now my name's too big, and it's like pushing out the bar, the frame. That's not nice. So if I want to restrict the number of characters, I can put in a period, and then however many characters I want to restrict this to. If I want to restrict it to 20, I can put 0.20. Run Daniel Levinson of East Windsor. And there it actually cut off the number of letters. So, okay, you can only go up to 20 and then you're done. And if you want to do less, let's do 10, because that's the one in the requirements. It wants you to truncate the artist name to 10 characters. So we are going to put in that 0.10. And now I'm not going to do that. Oh, whoops, no. I started typing a little bit too early. There we go. It actually, I also spelled my name wrong. But it limited my name to just 10 characters, including the space. So let's just go through this one more time. Build a signature line. Yep, that's right here with the string.format function. Should hold an output line containing the artist signature, which we have. We're putting in between these bars. We're taking artist, we're going to put it into these curly brackets. Ensure it's asking for 20 characters. Center the artist name, that's this caret symbol right here, and limit the artist's name to just 10 characters. That's this 0.10. So this is the whole code right here. That is the character art activity. So I hope that helps you, and I'll see you in number 4, where we start to look at conditional statements. And I just want to actually look ahead, get excited for this, because this is where this is what coders use the most. This is where things get really, really, really useful. These if-else statements, and actually also skipping ahead to number 6, that's where you get lists and loops. Again, that's where things are really useful, because that's when you can get the computer to do a whole lot of work that you don't want to do. And you don't want to do a lot of work as a coder. You want to let the computer do all the work. So I'll see you in lesson